those native trees and those urban trees are no longer going to be alive or rearing new beetles. And so hopefully that population is going to be suppressed in those areas, and thus if we keep it out of the avocado production area. We're fortunate in the sense that our avocado production area is located in basically one area. 98% of it is in those 4 quadrants that I showed you. So the idea is if you can keep it out of there from getting established, and you can wait 2 or 3 years as it moves through and eliminates all these other hosts, you're going to have a dead zone, so to speak, around you, and hopefully be able to control the population.
Is our climate, is your climate in Florida more conducive than California?
If you're talking about the beetle, let's see, already moved to North Carolina that has any stronger, lower winter seasons that we have in Florida, obviously. So in the beetle, at least from the areas that I have collected, the temperatures are kind of mild, not hot areas. I think we better wait and see, but so far it's in North Carolina. I think it moves really well into cool areas. So, but again, we are conducting a study right now, which we should finish in December, which we know if low temperatures in their 60s or so on will slow down, which perhaps will slow down development, but if the beetle is going to survive or not. Remember, the beetle will be inside of the tree, so it's some protection if it's inside of that tree.
Well, the humidity, I mean...
Oh, relative humidity. External relative humidity, to tell you the truth, I don't know. That's going to work or not, because that we really haven't touched that yet. Our current question is to see what the development is under different temperatures, but we haven't introduced relative humidity, at least external relative humidity, into the equation. One thing that is true is that if the logs or wherever the beetle is dry up very quickly, the beetle dies and nothing can emerge from it. Inside of the tree, all this sapwood and so on, so that to me is a pretty good humidity inside. Outside, or the rest of the desert humidity type, can you tell me anything about that?
Well, the reason I ask is because you said they fly only at a certain time. You seem to find them like between 4 and 6. And, And, it just seems like your humidity and our humidity is so much different.
That is true. This is completely different.
And one more thing. In California, we have other ambrosia beetles, well established, and then doing the problem on other oak diseases in the wildland. So they are well established. So this is a possibility.
Question for Jonathan. How many total acres in that South Florida area, and what's the population in that area? We've got a lot of orchards mixed within urban areas.
Yeah, we have 7,500 acres in that area, and the agricultural area comprises about 75,000 acres total in that whole area I showed you, and it's a mix of farms that are ornamental, vegetable, and fruit, and it's a patchwork, total patchwork. Average size farm in Miami-Dade County is 50 acres, but the most common size is 5 acres. And so when you drive through that area, I mean, you just go 200 feet, you've gone by a nursery, a grove, and a vegetable field. So it's very, very mixed.
What's the total population in the area?
And Homestead is about 50,000 now. The Homestead area is about 50,000 people. And that's relatively new. It was about half that up until about 6 years ago. But it's about 50,000 people. And then, of course, Miami to our north, you're looking at 1.2 million people.
We have a laurel tree on our property right next to avocados. Does it make any sense to take it out?
No.
Yeah, that's good. I want to take it out.
Oh, you do? Well, if you're looking for...
It's a story of this lady,
Yeah, if you're looking for an excuse, you know.
With avocados.
Yeah. Well, one of the key things, as I mentioned before, is that many other things can cause symptoms that look a lot like Laurel wilt. And that one of the problems and one of the challenges we've had is to really tell people, look, you need to not only do the scouting, but the sampling and determine, is that actually Laurel wilt that's causing that tree to go down or not, before you do anything. Because, like I showed you there were about probably 45 suspects that we pegged. Well, none of those have turned out so far to have Laurel wilt. But if you immediately saw those and start seeing every tree that has a dead limb or wilting and dead leaves on it, you'd start taking, there'd be a lot of burning and chopping and chipping, totally unnecessary from a disease standpoint, but also from an economic standpoint. It'd just be absolutely insane. So we're really cautioning people, you really need to do the scouting, the sampling, the identification, and then do what needs to be done, if anything needs to be done.
Is Laurel wilt in Mexico?
No.
That is, the Mexicans are fully aware of this. 2 years ago, I had visitors from Michoacan. Michoacan, 1/3 of the world's production of avocados come from one state in Mexico. So there was a contingent of people from Michoacan. Anthropologists came with several growers, just as a kind of a meet and greet, and then also educate themselves on what this looks like. Our concern, so it's not in Mexico, but our concern is that it's going to eventually bridge that gap. It's going to make that jump from Mississippi to Louisiana to Texas, and then all along the Gulf Coast portion of Mexico, there are voracious plants all along that area in native forests that could be affected. So in the natural environment, these keystone species could be impacted. But Mexico is a center of origin for this crop, so that's an issue. But it's also where most of the world's avocados are produced. So we're really concerned, and Mexicans are more concerned than we are. So no, it's not there yet. It's only found in the Western Hemisphere, in that area in the southeastern U.S., but it's on the move. So.
Another question for Randy. Expand on an earlier question about fungus.
Yeah.
Would it be possible to contaminate it with something like a cyanobacteria that would be kind of self-transferable?
The work on biocontrol of pathogens, the best work has been done with double-stranded RNAs, viruses, mycoviruses. So there are examples of that. There's a long story on that. Sometimes it works, most of the times it does not. It's really difficult. Usually what happens is that if you identify an effective pathogen that kills the pathogen, you've restricted its movement to other healthy populations pretty dramatically. You kill that population that is infected, and then it doesn't move to other ones that you want to kill as well. So there's a possibility there, but it's probably remote.
What about bringing something back like chloridane or lindane? Just on the trunk.
Well, we try something people use for termites, which is feed formula, because one grower said, well, I'm desperate. He has feed formula. Can we test it because it's good for termites? Well, it was not all the best ones on the really heavy beetle pressure. And so, yeah, we can try any poison that people tell us. But it's got to be registered or available for use, that would be the major question mark. We can create a bomb, but I don't know how far you can go.
Yeah, getting some of these things registered would be impossible, basically.
Guys, then is it fair to say that anything that is registered or permitted to be used would not affect the edibility of the fruit?
Right, if a compound is registered with EPA, it's gone through all the residue testing and is safe for consumption as long as people follow the directions.
And we would not have a problem export, I don't know.
No, no, and in fact,